Hello, a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin, as always, with this morning's latest headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave on a three-nation tour of France, Germany and Canada today, inviting investment, defence deals and some key nuclear purchases on the tour's agenda. Nearly 300 more Indian nationals arrive in Mumbai and Kochi from Djibouti this morning. Operation Rahat extended by a day on specific request amid all-round praise. Special Hyderabad court to pronounce verdict today in the multi-crore accounting fraud in Satyam Computer Services. Protesters rally in North Carolina against Wednesday's killing of a black man by a white police officer. Officer sacked after being charged with murder. And India out of the title race after losing to Malaysia at the Sultan Azlan Shah Cup hockey tournament. Our top focus on the bulletin this morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves on a three-nation tour of France, Germany and Canada today. His Make in India push through seeking a greater investment. Besides, some big-ticket defence deals are lined up for the tour. Here's a preview.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will begin his visit to France, Germany and Canada from Thursday. His three-nation visit will be packed with high-intensity political, social and economic engagements besides a New York's Madison Square-like event in Toronto. Modi will hold talks with French President François Hollande, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper during his 8-day visit, which was part of India's Link West policy. A key agenda for the Prime Minister during his visit to France will be the Rafale jet deal. French President François Hollande confirmed to reporters on Tuesday that he and Modi will have discussions about the deal, estimated to be worth $12 billion.
There are discussions underway between the French company, our Ministry of Defense, with the HAL, which is involved in this. These are ongoing discussions. We don't mix up, leadership level visits with deep details of ongoing defense contracts.
Modi will also inaugurate the giant Hanover-Messe trade fair on Sunday. The government is aggressively pushing Prime Minister's pet Make in India initiative in Hanover to make the country a manufacturing hub.
In the discussions which the Prime Minister would be having in Germany, how to get the German government and German companies more deeply involved in Ganga rejuvenation will be very much a theme.
In the last leg of the tour, Prime Minister will be in Canada, where a grand reception awaits him in Toronto.
It's the first standalone Prime Minister visit to Canada after 40 years. People-to-people contact is a very important component of a bilateral relationship. The team is also scheduled to have extensive interaction with the Indian diaspora, both in Toronto and in Vancouver.
The event is expected to be as big as the New York Madison Square Garden reception Modi received during his US visit last year. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about the Prime Minister's three-nation visit is Sheetal Sharma, Assistant Professor, Centre for European Studies, JNU. Good morning and thank you for joining me on the program, Sheetal. Let's talk about this three-nation visit now. Of course, the first leg of the visit is to France and the Prime Minister is going to embark on this journey very soon. But what can we expect really as far as the Prime Minister's visit to France is concerned? Then we'll move on to Germany and then so on and so forth.
First of all, if we look at this 9-day visit, it is going to be a comprehensive package of economic interest, social and cultural ties, as well as the strategic and defense interests. Now, starting with France first, again, Prime Minister has divided his time, among various things, where he's going to visit to the war memorial, he's going to visit to the Airbus industry, and then there's a kind of, notion of Now Pe Charcha, where he's going to,
talk to François Hollande on the boat.
Yeah, on boats in the river. And then there is one component of the diplomatic talk. Now, if we look at the recent visits that Prime Minister has taken up in the past, he has been able to deliver a kind of image to people, to the diplomats, to the diaspora in the country that, there are few things available, or there is something for everybody in the trip. particularly in France, we have certain common interest. We are a strategic partner. There are interest in the area of investment, certainly, heavy industry, transfer of technology, plus clean energy, and climate control initiatives where European Union as such is a normative actor in pushing the climate deal forward. So how we can bring clean technologies from these countries and help, our industrial acceleration.
Indeed. As far as, France is concerned, do you see any kind of hiccups with François Hollande and talks between the two prime ministers? Because, there are a couple of deals that have hung in the balance as far as the Rafale jet is concerned. There is the nuclear deal with Averna as well. So are those deals going to hamper talks between the two heads of state?
With the kind of, movement or progress that we have made with the US in civil nuclear cooperation deal, a few things will certainly come out and fall in place with the Western countries as far as nuclear cooperation is concerned in the civil area. As far as Rafale is concerned, there are various stages which are involved in it. Say first couple of full-fledged planes are going to fly, and then there will be supply of components, then assembly here. So it will take some time for the defense deal to come out, particularly in the case of the jet. However, both the countries are quite optimistic about the nuclear deals and the technology that we require.
Indeed. Technology is going to be high on the agenda.
Yes.
Defense is going to be high on the agenda. And do you see Prime Minister Modi also pushing the Make in India initiative into France, Germany and Canada as well?
Germany is primarily, the place where he can push Make in India agenda, where he's going to inaugurate the Messi Industrial Fair, and which is a huge fair, which attracts people from all over Germany as well as all over Europe and world. And when we talk about particularly Make in India, this effort, I'm a bit surprised, why Europe has come after 8-9 months of, his coming into power. And as you know that European Union is one of the largest trading partner of India with $100 billion trade, two-way trade. So there are key players within the European Union as well, the big states like Germany, France, UK and Spain and all. But then this has come a bit late, but it is very important to engage with European countries even at the level of the Union or in terms of the member states, where we can be very good partners, at least in industry and in strategic ties. And this is one step towards the Western world,
and Germany becomes extremely crucial at this point, because the German economy is one of the very few economies that is doing extremely well. The Indian economy is doing decently well right now. So, when both the countries come together, there is the expectation too high at the moment?
I don't know, not much has been spoken about this particular 9-day visit, unlike the visit to the US or to the, earlier visits to the island nations or Australia. But then let us not expect too much from the visit also, because then if the things do not happen in the way they have been discussed in media or they have been overhyped, then there is sort of disappointment among the people. But still, these nations are very practical and rational in terms of their dealing with, and there's no kind of over projection of what can be an outcome of the deal. So let's see how far Modi is able to push that agenda. But since these are industrialized nations, we are all members of G7 and we are all democracies. There is a convergence of interest of people, there is no much difference between the kind of values that we purport on both the sides. So things will be easy. The only problems are ironing out couple of elements which block or, for a while put the deals on hold.
Yes, indeed. What are the key issues or key, areas that we need to look out for during this 9-day visit? What would you list out as those key areas?
Science and technology, certainly, bringing in cleaner technologies, then civil nuclear cooperation, pushing it ahead so that we fulfill our energy needs. That particularly then accelerates the kind of agenda that this government has taken now for industrialization, generation of employment. And we can also talk about, yes, the defense issue is always there on the platter. And then trade and tourism, tourism particularly, where there is scope of selling India as a preferred tourist destination, because there have been some instances in the past where people have been a little apprehensive about coming to the territory. So promoting that I think these are a couple of things we can expect from the...
All right, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Sheetal
sir.
Sharma, for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Meanwhile, India and Turkmenistan signed joint agreements on bilateral and regional issues during External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj's ongoing visit to that country. A key development is an agreement to set up a joint fertilizer factory in resource-rich Turkmenistan to enhance cooperation in the field of mineral resources. Another point taken up during Swaraj's meetings with the President and Foreign Minister is the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline project. The $3 billion project has long been discussed by governments and energy companies, but instability in Afghanistan has so far made its construction impossible. Swaraj also spoke about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's likely visit to Turkmenistan slated for July 11th, hoping several pending projects will have taken shape by the time of the visit.
उन्होंने बात की यहाँ आपस में एक संयुक्त कारखाना लगाने की, एक ऐसा खाद का कारखाना जो यहाँ बनेगा लेकिन जिसका पूरा बना हुआ खाद भारत में जाएगा। अब इससे दोनों को फायदा होगा, इनके गैस में वैल्यू एडिशन होगा और हमें खाद मिलेगा, जो यूरिया जिसकी खपत हमारे यहाँ बहुत ज्यादा है।
Meanwhile, back home, in a major reprieve for farmers hit by unseasonal rain and storms, the government raised the compensation of crop damage. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made the announcement promising easier procedures to claim financial support from the government. Here's more.
The compensation given out to farmers affected by unseasonal rains and hailstorms has been increased to 1.5 times. The Prime Minister made the announcement at the launch of a microfinance bank and regulator.
अगर उसको नुकसान में पहले 100 रुपया मिलता था, 150 मिलेगा, लाख मिलता था तो 1.5 लाख मिलेगा, उसकी मदद 1.5 गुना कर दी जाएगी। कभी हमारे यहाँ इंक्रीमेंटल होता था 5%, 2%, 50% वृद्धि, और ये किसान को तत्काल मदद मिले। राज्यों ने सर्वे का काम किया है, भारत सरकार और राज्य सरकार मिलकर के उसको आगे बढ़ाएगी। लेकिन मैं चाहता हूं कि हमारे देश के किसानों को जितनी मदद हो सके उतनी मदद करने के लिए ये सरकार संकल्पबद्ध है।
To make farmers' lives easier, the Prime Minister has also asked banks to restructure loans of affected farmers and told insurance companies to settle claims faster. The criterion of 50% crop damage for providing compensation has now been reduced to 33%, helping more farmers get compensation for their losses faster than before.
हमारे मंत्री भी जाकर के आए, उन्होंने प्रत्यक्ष देखा, और ये सब देखने के बाद एक बहुत बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय हमने किया है कि अब किसान का वो जो 50% के नुकसान वाला जो दायरा था उसको बदल करके 33% भी अगर नुकसान हुआ है तो भी वो किसान हकदार बनेगा। उसके कारण मुझे मालूम है बहुत बड़ा बोझ आने वाला है।
In recent weeks, over a dozen debt-laden farmers have committed suicide after unseasonal storms damaged the rabi crop in large parts of northern India. Over 10 million hectares of crops have been damaged.
सबसे पहले तो हमने राज्यों को पत्र दिया कि राज्यों के पास एसडीआरएफ का पैसा है या फिर कंटीजेंसी फंड है, उससे अविलंब किसानों को राहत दे। जो एनडीआरएफ का पुराना नॉर्म्स है, और आज हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने घोषणा कर दी है कि वो जो नॉर्म्स था उसको हमने 1.5 गुना कर दिया। लेकिन राज्य सरकार को करना है और उसके पास पैसे हैं।
The announcement of higher compensation comes even as the government battles perception that it is anti-farmer. The government has been trying to push through a bill to make land acquisition easier for industry and to develop roads, ports and power stations among other infrastructure projects. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on the Yemen front, nearly 300 more Indian nationals landed in Mumbai and Kochi from Djibouti early this morning. On specific request, India had extended the rescue mission in Yemen for another day yesterday to ferry 140 stranded nurses. Almost all Indians residing in Yemen have been evacuated from the war-torn country in a massive exercise that's gained worldwide praise.
Over 4,000 Indians in war-torn Yemen have now been evacuated. The government has all but wrapped up the Operation Rahat, involving Indian Navy and Air Force to bring them back home. The operation has been extended by a day to bring back 140 stranded Indian nurses. Air India will run its last evacuation flights from Yemen's capital, Sana'a. The government has asked all Indians who want to leave to reach the capital. On Monday, India rescued more than 1,000 people by plane and ship, the second time in 2 days that such a large number have been brought out amid heavy shelling. The rescued people were brought back to Mumbai and Kochi in special flights.
डर डर के जी रहे थे, बच्चों की स्कूल की मुश्किल, मतलब हस्बैंड ऑफिस जा रहे थे तो वो आते नहीं आते, वो आने तक बहुत बहुत डर और खौफ था. बहुत मदद करी है उन्होंने, वहाँ से शुरू से लेके अब तक हमारी बहुत हेल्प की है.
हालात काफी खराब है सर, क्योंकि 9 अप्रैल तक निकलना है वहाँ से. लास्ट फ्लाइट विल बी देयर फ्रॉम सना टू हियर, विल बी ऑन 9th of April. तो उसके बाद काफी हालात बिगड़ेंगे. इट्स मे टर्न टू द सिविल वॉर.
Fighting is going on. We came from Thais, coming from Thais to Hodeidah. From Hodeidah to Indian government more supported us, and the Tamil Nadu government and Kerala government from Cochin to we are going to our native place. Thanks for the governments and thanks for our media people also.
India is also helping other countries like United States, France, Germany to evacuate their citizens from the country embattled by Saudi-led airstrikes against the Houthi rebels. Minister V.K. Singh, who was overseeing the evacuation process, met with some of the foreigners rescued by Indian ships.
Very appreciative of you and very well treated and looked after, and I'd like to thank the Indian people for bringing us home. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, can't say enough about the Indian government for helping us to get out of Yemen. Thank you very, very much.
We all want to thank them. They are very nice people, and everything was easy for me, even though I am Yemeni. And the visa thing, in the embassy, people there, everyone is working for the same purpose, for the same aim, only to help people.
Meanwhile, 11 Indians who were evacuated by the Pakistani Navy from Yemen's Mukalla city reached Karachi and are expected to return home on Wednesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, we'll slip into a short break now, but still to come, a US jury declares Boston Marathon bomber Tsarnaev guilty of the attack. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
अध्यादेश पर किसी को एतराज नहीं हो सकता. प्रश्न ये है, संसद चल रही है, महत्वपूर्ण नीतिगत मामलों पर संसद खत्म होती है, अगले दिन ही आप अध्यादेश ले आते हैं.
ये कोई अकेली सरकार आई है ऐसी? सदन जो है वो अपने तरीके से चलता है. इतने दिन से कानून नहीं बने क्या?
अध्यादेश जो है वो सामान्यतः नहीं आना चाहिए. अध्यादेश जो है वो जब मजबूरी की बात हम कह रहे हैं, आज हमारे पास राज्यसभा में बहुमत नहीं है. आपने देखा कि किस तरह से बिल फंसाए गए.
कानून और संसद की सर्वोच्चता पर देखिए स्पेशल रिपोर्ट सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर.
The 14th Finance Commission. Understand the logic, the thinking. Has it given a fair share to the states?
The Commission has tried to protect the interests of both the centre and states.
Watch a special report. A fair share only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Let's take a look now at some news and events lined up for today in our segment The Day Ahead. Special Court will today give its much-awaited judgment in the multi-crore Satyam scam case. The scam, which was probed by the CBI, has been touted as one of the biggest accounting fraud in the country. The scam had come to light on January 7, 2009 after the firm's founder and then chairman B. Raju allegedly confessed to manipulating his company's account books and inflating profits over many years. Two more Mi-17 V5 helicopters will formally be inducted into the BSF by Home Minister Rajnath Singh at a ceremony in New Delhi. The Russian-made Mi-17 V5 choppers will boost the flying capability of central paramilitary forces deployed in some of the most inhospitable conditions. The new pair of helicopters is expected to be tasked for anti-Naxal operations based in Chhattisgarh and Odisha. The Union Minister of State of the Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, Dr. Jitendra Singh, will chair the two-day 64th plenary meeting of the Northeastern Council. The governors and chief ministers of all 8 northeastern states, along with senior officers from state government central ministries, will attend the meeting. The annual plan and the gross budgetary support of the NEC for 2015-16 is expected to be approved during the two-day meet. Well, in news from the US now, the disturbing video of a South Carolina police officer gunning down an unarmed black man has jolted the civil community. The families of the victim of police violence and civil rights activists held protest rallies against the police brutality, demanding justice and equality. Here's more.
Scores of angry protesters.
The jig is up! We are one! The jig is up! We are one!
Placards demanding equality. Activists rallied against violence in the state, demanding justice for 50-year-old Walter Scott. The bystander who captured the incident has been applauded for handing out crucial evidence of what seems yet another ugly race crime.
I can't even describe what it's like to know that events like this happen. And I really do not think that the man would have been charged if the video had not surfaced. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me.
And I'm here on behalf of every father in this country, in this nation, to say I am tired of seeing this weekly, daily. Every 23 or 28 hours, a young black man is killed by the arm of a police officer. Now, if you said you have good cops, show me them. When do we want justice? When do we want now?
The officer has been fired by the State Law Enforcement Division after he was charged with murder.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
There was chaos at a media conference held later by the police. Demonstrators didn't allow the police chief and city mayor to speak.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you.
Do that.
I am. And give me just a second. The honesty comes from my heart.
The city mayor announced the purchase of body cameras which will be worn by police officers to record their activity. He promised a thorough investigation into this incident.
We received a grant to purchase 101 body cameras. Those body cameras are on order. Today I made an executive decision and have notified my council. We have already ordered this morning an additional 150 body cameras, so that every officer that's on the street in uniform will have a body camera.
The shooting is the latest in a string of controversial deaths involving white officers and black suspects. Michael Brown's death in Ferguson, Missouri touched off protests and sparked a nationwide debate over race and policing. It follows the death of an unarmed black teen who was shot by Darren Wilson, a white officer, last August. A White House task force has recommended a host of changes to the nation's police policies. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, Boston Marathon bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been declared guilty of carrying out the attack as well as the fatal shooting of a police officer. The jury hearing the Boston Marathon bombing on Wednesday found Tsarnaev guilty of killing 3 people and injuring 264 in the April 15, 2013 attack. 17 of the 30 charges against him carry the death penalty. The jury that found him guilty will now decide whether to sentence him to death or life in prison without possibility of parole. Jurors spent just over 11 hours evaluating Tsarnaev's guilt in 2 days of deliberations following 16 days of testimony. 2 pressure cooker bombs had exploded near the finish line during the Boston Marathon in 2013, killing 3 people on the stop and injuring 264 others.
We just, as a group, we wanted to come out and say thank you to everyone who's worked so hard to make this happen. We're obviously grateful for the outcome today. It's not a happy occasion, but it's something that we can put, one more step behind us. We're all going to move on with our lives, and we're all going to get back to some sense of normalcy, hopefully, when this is all done. So closure, I guess, I don't think so, only because it's forever a part of our life.
Well, for more international news and updates, here's our World Wrap. Dozens of rebel fighters and allied troops reportedly pushed into the southern Yemeni city of Aden on Wednesday. Fresh fighting has been reported in the city between Houthi rebels and militiamen loyal to President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi. Several houses in the central Crater district were set on fire after being hit by rockets as the rebels advanced. Meanwhile, warplanes of the Saudi-led coalition, which backs the government, bombed rebel targets to the north. Islamic State militants have released more than 200 members of the Yazidi religious community being held in northern Iraq on Wednesday. All those released were elderly or infirm and also included 2 Christians. Most of the 216 prisoners were in poor health and bore signs of abuse. IS attacked the Yazidis in Iraq last year, killing and abducting thousands. Meanwhile, Iraqi troops have said that they are gaining ground in a fresh offensive against Islamic State in the western province of Anbar. Russia has denied involvement in hacking a non-classified White House computer network last year. The denial came after a report surfaced on Tuesday that Russian hackers penetrated the White House's computer system and gained access to information including private details of President Obama's schedule. Moving on to some sports news now. Bad news for India at the Sultan Azlan Shah Hockey Cup in Malaysia. India crashed out of the men's title race after a 2-3 loss against Malaysia on Wednesday. India trailed the hosts in the 17th minute but equalized 3 minutes later through Rupinder Pal Singh's penalty corner. Rupinder rescued the team once more after they went down 2-1 in the third quarter. However, India wasted a number of scoring opportunities and conceded a late goal just 2 minutes before time to lose their second successive match. India is just 1 point from 3 games, meaning they cannot qualify for the semi-finals. They will take on lower-ranked Canada in today's game. Here are the other sports updates in our sports beat. Indian shuttlers Parupalli Kashyap, K. Srikanth and H.S. Pranoy entered the second round of the Singapore Open Super Series with the straight set victories. Commonwealth Games champion Kashyap brushed aside his Korean opponent 21-11, 21-13, while Pranoy overcame his Hong Kong's counterpart 21-15, 21-17. Srikanth had to toil hard for his 21-18, 19-21, 21-14 victory over his Vietnamese opponent. The women's doubles pair of Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Panappa also made it to the second round. Liverpool defeated Blackburn Rovers 1-0 in the fourth round replay match to reach the semi-final of the FA Cup. The first game had ended in a draw and it seemed a replay match was also heading the same way before Philippe Coutinho scored a spectacular late winner. Liverpool will play Aston Villa in the semi-final. The Confederation of African Football's Executive Committee named Gabon as host of the next African Nations Cup finals in 2017. The Gabonese beat rival bids from Algeria and Ghana. It will be the second time that Gabon will stage the finals after co-hosting the 2012 edition with neighbors Equatorial Guinea. That's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.